All right, Children and Family Institute has been around for 31 years. Founder and CEO Rose Jones set out for a mission for restoring families and just making sure that the mother and the father plays a vital role in children's lives. We're going to focus more on the fatherhood section because that is the part of the program during our Fatherhood Institute that we do lack in right now, and we're really trying to bring awareness to it to get more men involved and to also make sure that the mother and the father as a unit is providing for their children. We restore families and we also try to save lives, and we really want to reconstruct the mindset of fathers and mothers to do the right thing for their children. All right, so my name is Samantha Williams, and I have been in child welfare arena for 18 years now. My motivation behind fatherhood is it really stems from being able to just see on a day-to-day of men the lack of some things that men just don't know. I have been a single mom forever. My daughter is almost 17 years old. Her father was a half parent, so my daughter was raised with an absent parent. Really being able to have the fathers change their mindsets, think about the things that's out there when it comes to the hearts of these children. We're going to just go around the room and introduce the panel, their whys and their motivation behind why they want to be in this podcast about fatherhood. You see, we have women here, we have men here. I think the men can speak more of the father aspect, and we're going to definitely be able to kind of piggyback and bounce off of the ideas and the dialogue during this podcast. So really hope you guys enjoy it. We're going to go around the room and go ahead and do our introductions.
My name is Nakia Williams. I work with Children and Family Institute here in Dallas. And my motivation for wanting to be a part of the Fatherhood podcast was basically growing up in a home without one, without a father. My father, he was very absent. We maybe had about 5 interactions in my life, and he was, he lived maybe less than 5 minutes away from me. So it gave me a sense of urgency when I began working with Children and Family Institute to see so many moms come into our office, and they just lack the skills and the development and the father in the home to navigate their own lives. So it motivated me. I was a teen mom, and I feel like not having a father was a direct factor in why I became one. So, and fathers are the disciplinarians in the home. So I just felt like having a father is very important. And so many women have to navigate life without having the father to their children, and they go into survival mode. So that's my motivation, and I'm just happy to be here. And this podcast and Children and Family Institute have given me a platform to speak my truth on how I feel as a mother who has a father in the home and how we navigate those struggles.
My name is Nick Willis, founder of the Fatherhood Leadership Initiative. My biggest motivation comes from personal experience. After 9 years of being married, it led to a subsequent divorce, and I lost myself. It was the darkest moment of my life. Not being able to go from a position of seeing my kids every day to not being able to spend time with them on a daily basis, it really shook me to the core. I was searching for help, looking for resources, and I couldn't find any. So I had to become a resource for myself. And in the process of time, I went to counseling. And I remember one day I came out of the counseling session. I was so emotional. And I was like, man, it is impossible to father from a distance. And I kid you not, I heard a voice. Maybe it was internal. It was like, father for the distance. I didn't know what it meant, but it gave me hope. And I began to share that message with other fathers that I came across. There's a lot of fathers who are labeled as deadbeat, but the truth is they don't have the tools to navigate the barriers and the maze that they find themselves in order to be close to their children. Sometimes they're lacking a lot of resources. So one of my biggest motivations was to help provide resources for these fathers so that we can overcome the barriers that face us, that keep us away from raising our children.
I'm Joe Tolbert, the founder of I Can Mentoring. I'm a police officer, a motivational speaker, and I aspire to motivate more men, more fathers, to be able to speak their truth, live in their truth, and be more involved and engaged in the community, because in the household, as being a police officer, we see in these high crime communities the disconnect between the father and the child. And there's a major need, and I applaud CFI for stepping up to the platform to create something for men, for fathers, to be able to come and edify themselves, better equip themselves, and have somewhere where they can come and try to have hope for a better tomorrow. So I hope y'all enjoy, take note, and apply.
All right, so this question is going to be for the fathers. We have the definition of father, and we have the definition of dad. From your perspective, we're going to start first with Nick. What is a father and what is a dad?
I've always been leaning towards the father as just being he's the seed carrier. Dad is a more intimate term. It speaks of relationship. So you can be a father, but necessarily not have the relationship with your kid where they can feel like they have a dad. I think that's the distinction. What do you think?
So I believe the dad is just a man that gave birth or gave, life to a seed out here. Mm-hmm. But I think it's not until he has that transformation in his mind to where, hey, you know what, it's not about me. What can I do to make sure that my child has a better life than me? To where you start instilling things that, though your life may not be where you want it to be, mm-hmm. you want to do and make the sacrifices necessary. Give them the solid foundation. Yes, you can do that, right, from the outside, but we think a father is more committed in that trying to reach that goal. So that's how I look.
And even when we look on calendars and we see Father's Day, do you ever see Dad's Day or anything like that? I know, Nick, you experienced something at your local church over this past Father's Day, mm-hmm. where you kind of felt the fathers wasn't recognized enough. Mm-hmm. But on Mother's Day, they kind of go all out for the mothers. Mm-hmm. So how did that make you feel as a father?
Honestly, it wasn't just the local church. I saw it across the board. I think I've developed such a burden for fathers over the years, to the point where when fathers don't get recognized in a certain way, or if they get painted in a certain light, it affects me. So in the process of my family celebrating me, I couldn't help but to think about fathers that I'm associated with, who just lost a kid, or they have a kid in the hospital and doctors don't know what's wrong with the kid, or fathers who go through a situation or a divorce and they don't have access to their kids the way they deserve access to their kids. I was sitting there processing those moments and those fathers that I have access to the entire Father's Day. And to be honest with you, it was a burden for me. It was the first time I ever not been able to enjoy the moment for myself because I was so concerned about how other fathers are experiencing that day for themselves.
I think it's so important that we be intentional about the things that are important to us, because, we make mothers important. We make Christmas important. We make Easter important. So we surround those holidays with importance, the things we do. We go to church, we buy gifts, things like that. And I think if we were all collaborative in that effort to make Father's Day just as important, I think it'll be more impactful. And it'll kind of make everybody get on board with it.
Well, do you feel society looks at that day as not being as important because of the lack of fathers out there?
Yeah, I think a lot of what we have gotten from fathers have been shaped by the very society that don't esteem fathers in the first place. Okay. So we turn around and we say, well, we don't esteem fathers because we have so many fathers doing X, Y, and Z, these negative things, and they don't deserve to be recognized. Mm-hmm. It becomes a norm for us to not recognize fathers. But on the same token, we live in a society that has shaped or conditioned the very atmospheres that create these kind of fathers in the first place. Mm-hmm. And I think at some point we have to be able to value what a father is, what he brings to the table, and be able to recognize him for that, esteeming him in high regard. And I think that's something that we just got to be better at in society.
What is speaking on what you just what are the values, the woman perspective, that you look for in a father? What's the expectation of a father?
A provider, for one, definitely a provider, and someone that's honest and that actually know his role within the house, know how to lead, and also, a protector. Everyone has to feel protected from the man that's leading their household. So, with those things in place, I mean, I think that is a good example of what a father should be. But that's just my perspective of what a father should be. I'm only one woman.
Yeah.
Nikia, what do you think?
I think in many households, the man is seen as the person you can sacrifice. It's what can he do for me? And if he doesn't do those things for me, then I don't need him in our culture today. So I think the role of the man is to one, respect him so that he can feel like he's appreciated. I feel like the man is the disciplinarian. I feel like he is the one who sets the tone for the household. He is the one that keeps everything in order. And I think because we lack those features in so many roles in society, because women are deemed as, they put us on a pedestal, but they don't necessarily put the man on a pedestal, and he's just as important as the woman in the household. So I think those are some things that we don't do in regards to the man and his role in the household.
So, from a woman's perspective, being able to really uplift that man, embrace those things that he's doing, can better help him in his self-esteem to actually be a man.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't want to poison the water by saying, making it her responsibility to be something for him.
That's true.
I think he need to be something for himself.
That's true.
And I think a lot of times,
Absolutely.
many men have found themselves in a place of the unknown because they don't know how to be what they need to be.
Yeah.
Like one of the things you said was he need to be a leader. Well, a lot of men, they haven't had a leader. They haven't had a father in the home to teach them how to be a leader. They don't have the men surrounding them in their lives that they could be able to extract what these leadership principles that they can apply them to a family context. I just think it's a loaded problem that we have, and that's why I'm grateful for this platform so that we can find solutions together.
All right, so now we have this thing of the independent woman. How do we feel the independent woman plays on a male when she says, "Oh, I have it all. I don't need a man. I don't need these things." But yet, we all know that woman and man is put on earth for a reason. Okay, so if you have a woman that's stating these things, that I'm independent, I don't need a man, how does that make a man feel? How does it make y'all feel when y'all hear those type of statements?
Well, I mean, if somebody believe they're independent, don't need me, I just feel like that's not my person. First off, I feel like the person who God has prepared me for, and I'm a part of their life, they need me, and I need them, and I think this paradigm that's been cultivated over a period of time, been passed down from generation to generation, that you don't need somebody. I heard men say it, they don't need a woman, and I heard women say it, they don't need a man, and I think it's erroneous in the sense that we all need each other. And if when God created us, my personal belief that we were created by God who's intelligent and have a purpose for our lives. When He created us, us working together in unity was a big part of that factor. And somewhere along the line, it's been corrupted, and the idea of partnership have been poisoned between men and women. Many podcasts that you listen to is going to talk about the differences between men and women and who's justified by their positions and all this kind of stuff. And all that does is create a bigger distraction, and it creates more distance from individuals to work together, because we're trying to find out who's more superior versus how can we work together and walk this thing out.
And so when we talk about this independent woman, right, they're so gung-ho, high. it set a precedence to where the man, the guy, doesn't want to be around you. So now that's the disconnect. You had a seed, you brought a child into this world, but you're so independent and you're so confident, I don't need a man, so now you push the man away. But we have a society that is now, you are taking care of yours, I don't need you for nothing, you do all this, but we're bringing all these kids into this world to where the father is stepping out because he doesn't feel respected by the woman, right? The woman doesn't respect the household, understand the dynamics of the importance of the man being in the household. When the man has to, regardless of what that woman does, understand his role and his obligation and duty to that child, right? A lot of times these guys go out and they're sleeping with this woman, and we bring a child into the world for the concept of, I just wanted to have some fun. But that seed, that child, is not having fun. They're growing up in a hopeless community, a hopeless state of mind, and then we ask these questions. Why are we losing our kids at 10, 11, 12, 13? It's the absence of the father. Working high crime apartments, I see it all the time, is where you have a single mother with 3 or 4 children growing up in the household. And no one in society, we can have our own assumptions, but until you actually go behind that apartment number 1210, just as an example, and you walk into that apartment and you see the conditions, then you can have better understanding why the child is operating like it is, but more important, the importance of a father being in the household, and not just a guy that's coming to use the mother who wants attention or needs somebody to say, I love you. Everybody has to understand their role. And when we get more people understanding their role and putting their pride to the side for the best interest of these youth, then we can move in togetherness, right? We don't have to be together. We don't have to love each other, but we brought us a child in this world. And I was watching last night with my wife on Sisters. It was a great episode where the chick over the hair salon was doing everything she could to push the father away. And he had to tell her, regardless of what you do, I'm going to be here for our child. And that's what fathers, we got to get back to.
Okay, it's all about changing that mindset, what we talked about before. So not only the mindset of the man, but the mindset of the woman as well. So how can we work with them in that capacity to make sure they're equally on the same level, the same wavelength when it comes to this child? Because the common denominator is the child being able to work through these issues and these problems for the kid. So we want to still stick to fatherhood. How can we change father's mindset when it comes to that? Like you did a perfect example. He was like, the lady was like, well, no, I don't whatever, want to fool with you. And then he was like, regardless, I'm the father. How can we have more males step up like that, to have that type of mindset to take ownership of their seed?
One of the things you have to factor in is we live in a very dysfunctional society, and it's been bent towards dysfunction. I don't think it was created in dysfunction. And over a period of time throughout the generations, you see certain people groups, they'll stand up for liberty. They'll stand up for their piece of the pie, whatever that piece looked like. Rather it being when black people, when we were in slavery, and we wanted to stand up for freedom, or women wanting to stand up for equal rights. And then you have all these other groups that come in and they're fighting for leverage and position. And I think at some point we kind of miss what it's all about. And it causes such a dysfunction to the point where everybody is just really in pursuit of what's in it for me. And I think so many men, in the culture that we live in today, so many men have been beat down so much. And then we turn to him and ask, well, why are you not fighting back? But he's not fighting back because this is just a fight that he's encountered. This is a generational burden that's been weighed down on him. And we need a different type of liberty. We need a different type of freedom that we have to experience in order for it all to make sense. A lot of men are without hope. And that's what causes a man not to fight back, is when he don't have hope. If I have hope, if a man have hope, he'll swing with everything he got. But for a man not to swing back means it's really an indicator that he's lacking hope in some areas.
So outside of hope, what else can we provide to the man to get in his right standing so he can be a father to his children, so he can be in position to fight back? What are some things that he needs other than hope? Because we have to start somewhere. Where's the starting point?
I mean, I always tell people, I think one of the most dynamic things that I've ever experienced is being around seasoned men. Men who have been somewhere and men who are constantly going somewhere. Those are the men I want to be around, because it's in that context that you begin to discover what life is about, how to overcome and persevere through hard times. That's more of a practical thing. There's some spiritual elements that I think we constantly ignore because we're always looking for answers within ourselves. And I think the answers to a lot of human problems is outside of us. I think if you look at from the beginning, we were all created for a purpose and by a person. We come from somewhere. And I think we've gotten away from that conversation, and we try to discover a lot of humanity's needs, thinking that we have answers within ourselves. And I don't think we do. I know we don't. Because if we did, we would have been to discovered them, and we would have already applied them to our lives in some way.
And to speak about seasoned men, we're going to take a few minutes for you to watch Pastor Himes. He's going to talk a little bit about spiritual aspect of it and also about fatherhood.
My responsibility as a father, and this is something I just taught, that fathers have a responsibility of nurturing their children. Nurturing means something. It means to care for them, means to protect them, it means to be involved with them, to give them the necessary tools and things that they need in order to grow and develop. As oftentimes in our society, in our culture, we say, hey, the women are best nurturers for our children. But when you look in scripture, it says, fathers provoke not your children to wrath, but raise them in the nurture and admonition of the Lord. So it's my responsibility to nurture my children. Now you have an opportunity, you have another day. As long as you got a day, you can do better and be better. As long as God gives you another day, you can be better and do better. And so even though first you gotta, one thing a father has to do is he has to forgive himself. With God, it's just the thing with God. Whenever we go to God, if I failed as a father and I recognize I can go to God, I can repent to God, and I didn't do what I was supposed to do. I didn't say the things I was supposed to. I wasn't there for my children like I was supposed to. I need you to forgive me. And guess what he will do? He'll forgive us. And then after he forgives us, we got to forgive ourselves. You got to say, you know what? This is a statement that we used to make. If I would have known better, I would have done better. And so now that I have the opportunity to do better, let me function at the level that we are now. So I'll give you an example. My dad, my father, I told you earlier about not being raised by my dad. Well, then I became a Christian. Have a father. Trying to get people saved, trying to go to the world, trying to get men to do right. I got a father. So don't I leave my father out? To say, oh, he's no good, he didn't. I can't. If I'm going to be a Christian and live for Christ, I can't forget about him. And so I can remember spending some time with my dad and said to my father, I said, Dad, you know what? We didn't get to throw a ball together. We didn't get to do X, Y, and Z. Now I'm a grown man with a family. I said, but I want to let you know something. We can start off from here. Past is the past. We can't correct the past, but we can have a future together. And so let's start from here, and we're going to build on this. And so now that was my doing, all right? So with that father has to forgive themselves, first ask for forgiveness, forgive themselves, and just to take the next day and say, hey, because you may not have been a good father, but you can be a good grandfather. And while you're being a good grandfather, you can be a father to your children. And you can be a father at the level that they require. So now I can't be telling them what to do or you need to so and so. I may make some suggestions. I may give my wisdom in reference to some situations and trust that they will receive it. If not, I'm not taking it personal. because I never established that relationship with them in the first place. So I can't be offended by that. I can't say, oh, I ain't calling no more, I'm not texting no more, I'm not gonna be involved anymore because they won't hear from me. No. First, I recognize I made a mistake. That's what you were talking about earlier. And the state of the relationship that I have with my children is such because of X, Y, and Z. So how do I bridge that gap where we're going to start from where we are now? So it's going to take some work. Now, my work may be from now to my grave to try to establish my fatherhood with my children. But as long as I'm willing to put the work in, as long as I'm willing to say, hey, I made a mistake, as long as I'm willing to move, be better and do better, that always has to be the mindset. And so the only way we get rid of the guilt is we have to ask for forgiveness. It's good. And then once we know that we are forgiven and God forgives us, then we got to forgive ourselves because we can't make up for the past. We need to build on the future. And so that would be my encouragement to that guy. Hey, come on, man. We can move forward. You know, we can move forward. My children got grandchildren now. I'm their grandfather. Listen, you could start right now and building a foundation with them. And while you're doing that, you are establishing a relationship with your own children.
All right. Thank you, Pastor Himes, for your wonderful insight. And yes, that is so true. When the Lord forgives you, you have to make sure you have to turn around and forgive yourself. I want to thank all the viewers for watching today. And to keep up with us, please take a note on our link tree and follow us. Thank you.